Imagine this. It's the first warm weekend of spring. You walk outside, coffee in hand, and every single container on your patio is already waking up. Green shoots pushing through the soil, color starting to show. Life coming back, without you doing a single thing. You didn't replant, you didn't go to the nursery, you didn't spend $1, because these plants never left. They've been sitting in their pots all winter, and now they're coming back, stronger, fuller, and more beautiful than last year. That's what a container perennial garden looks like. And today I'm going to show you 11 perennials that are absolutely perfect for containers. Plants that come back every single year, look stunning, and need almost zero effort to keep going. And number 1 on this list. It stopped me cold the first time I saw it growing in a pot. Most gardeners have no idea this plant thrives in containers. It's ancient, it's beautiful, it's incredibly useful. And once you plant it, it just keeps giving, year after year, without asking for much in return. Stay all the way to the end. I've got a pot hack in the bonus tip that completely changed how my container perennials survive winter. And it costs almost nothing to do. You won't want to miss it. Welcome to Nature Nest TV. So glad you're here today. This channel is all about creating beautiful, productive outdoor spaces that work for you, not the other way around. Hit subscribe right now and tap that bell. That way you'll never miss the container gardening secrets and low-effort growing tips that can completely transform your patio, balcony, or backyard. One pot at a time. Let's get into it. Number 11. Creeping Jenny, Lysimachia numularia. Coming in at number 11, we have Creeping Jenny. Here's why this plant opens the list. It's one of the most effortlessly beautiful container perennials you can grow, and it does something most plants won't. It thrives in shade. That dark, difficult corner of your patio where nothing else wants to grow. Creeping Jenny calls that home and turns it into a cascade of bright chartreuse gold trailing foliage that spills over the edge of any pot like liquid sunshine. Here's the surprising fact. Creeping Jenny is semi-evergreen in Zone 6 and warmer. In mild winters, it barely goes dormant at all. You're getting color and life in your containers even in November and December when everything else has packed up for the season. Planting basics. Plant in a container at least 8 inches wide. Partial to full shade, though the golden variety keeps its best color with some morning sun. Moist, well-drained potting mix. Zones 3 to 9. Use it as a trailer at the edge of mixed containers or as a solo spiller in a hanging basket. Care. Keep soil consistently moist. It doesn't love to dry out completely. No fertilizer needed beyond a little slow release in spring. Cut back in early spring if it gets scraggly, and it rebounds within 2 weeks with fresh, vibrant growth. Harvest window. Not edible, but it earns its place here through sheer ornamental value, providing color and trailing texture from early spring through late fall, year after year, from the same root system. Value angle. A single 4-inch nursery pot of Creeping Jenny costs $4 to $6 and fills a large container within 1 season. By year 2, you can divide it into 4 to 6 new plants, completely free, and fill every container on your patio. Coming up, a compact, fragrant herb that gets more productive and more beautiful every year it stays in its pot. Number 11. Creeping Thyme. Coming in at number 10, we have Creeping Thyme. Most people grow thyme as a culinary herb and never think beyond that. But creeping thyme in a container is a completely different experience. It spreads into a dense, fragrant mat that spills over the pot edge, produces a carpet of tiny pink and purple flowers in early summer that attract every bee and butterfly in your neighborhood, and smells incredible every single time you brush past it. And it's fully edible. Same thyme you use in cooking, just in a low, ground-hugging form. Beauty and function in one unstoppable plant. Here's what surprises people. Creeping thyme becomes more aromatic under mild stress. Don't baby it. Plant it in lean, well-drained soil. Give it full sun, and let it get slightly dry between waterings. That mild, tough love approach concentrates the essential oils and makes the flavor and fragrance more intense than any pampered herb. Planting basics. Container at least 8 inches wide and deep. Full sun. Sandy, lean, well-drained potting mix. Add 20 to 30% perlite for best drainage. Zones 4 to 9. One plant fills a 10-inch container within a single season. Care. Water when the top inch of soil is dry. No fertilizer needed. Trim lightly after the main flower flush to encourage a second wave of blooms. Divide every 3 to 4 years if woody in the center. Harvest window. Snip culinary stems spring through fall. Continuous harvests all season. The more you cut, the more it produces. Value angle. Fresh thyme at grocery stores runs $3 to $5 per small clamshell. Your container plant provides unlimited fresh thyme all season and returns bigger every spring at zero cost. Up next, a perennial flower that produces edible blooms, medicinal roots, and one of the most wildlife-friendly displays in container gardening. Number 9. Echinacea, purple coneflower. Coming in at number 9, we have echinacea, purple coneflower. Here's what most container gardeners don't know about echinacea. Its taproot actually performs well in a deep container, where it finds moisture and nutrients efficiently without spreading out of bounds. The vertical growth habit and the deep root system make it one of the most naturally container-adapted perennials on this list, and what it delivers in return is extraordinary. Bold, daisy-like flowers in shades of pink, purple, orange, and white, blooming from midsummer right into fall. Butterflies cover it. Goldfinches cling to the seed heads all winter. Every part of the plant has been used medicinally for centuries. Here's the sensory picture. A container of mature echinacea in full July bloom, surrounded by butterflies, standing 2 to 3 feet tall and absolutely covered in color. That's a patio moment that stops people mid-conversation. Planting basics. Deep container. Minimum 12 inches deep and wide. Full sun. Well-drained potting mix with some grit added. Zones 3 to 9. Extremely cold-hardy. Magnus, Powwow White, and Cheyenne Spirit are compact, container-friendly varieties. Care. Water during establishment. Once rooted, drought-tolerant. Deadhead spent flowers to encourage more blooms, or leave seed heads standing all winter for bird feeding and natural winter interest. Harvest window. Blooms June through September. Flowers can be dried for herbal preparations. Seed heads persist through winter, feeding birds and adding sculptural interest to the container. Value angle. Dried echinacea products run $10 to $20 per bottle at health food stores. Your container plant provides the raw material, flowers and roots, while delivering ornamental value that rivals any nursery specimen. Coming up, a sprawling, fragrant perennial that most gardeners grow in the ground, not realizing it's one of the most spectacular container perennials available. Number 8. Lavender, Hidcote or Munstead. Coming in at number 8, we have lavender. Lavender in a container is one of the most satisfying things in all of patio gardening. When it blooms in early summer, the fragrance alone transforms your outdoor space. Close your eyes near a pot of blooming lavender on a warm afternoon. That deep, floral, calming scent fills the air around you and makes a patio feel like a garden in the south of France. Here's what most people don't know. Lavender actually prefers containers to in-ground planting in many climates. Why? Because containers drain faster than garden beds. And lavender's number one enemy is wet roots. The sharper drainage of a well-set-up container keeps lavender happier longer than most garden soil. Planting basics. Wide, shallow container. At least 12 inches across. Full sun all day. Fast-draining, slightly alkaline potting mix. Add 30% perlite and a tablespoon of lime to standard mix. Zones 5 to 9 outdoors year-round. In zones 3 to 4, grow in containers and bring into a cool, bright space for winter. Hidcote and Munstead stay compact and are the most reliable container varieties. Care. Water only when completely dry, never let it sit in moisture. Trim stems back by 1/3 after the main flower flush. Never cut into old woody growth. Feed lightly with balanced fertilizer in early spring only. Harvest window, late spring through midsummer. Cut stems just before flowers fully open for the strongest fragrance. Dry in small bundles for use in cooking, sachets, and homemade gifts all year. Value angle. Culinary lavender sells for $8 to $15 per small jar. Dried bundles at farmers markets go for $5 to $12 each. Your container plant produces both every single year and grows more beautiful with age. Up next, a powerhouse medicinal and culinary herb that most people have never thought to grow in a container, with a fragrance that's absolutely intoxicating. Number 7. Lemon verbena. Coming in at number 7, we have lemon verbena. Let me tell you something about lemon verbena. The first time you rub a leaf between your fingers and smell it, you'll wonder where this plant has been your whole life. Pure lemon. Intense, clean, almost perfume-like. Not citrus adjacent, pure concentrated lemon fragrance from a plant that grows in a pot on your patio. Here's the surprising part. In warm zones, lemon verbena is a woody perennial that returns from the roots every year. In colder zones, you grow it in a container, bring it inside before frost, let it drop its leaves and go dormant through winter in a cool room, then bring it back outside in spring. It resprouts reliably every time, looking completely dead right up until it doesn't. Planting basics. Container at least 12 inches wide. It wants room to grow. Full sun. Rich, well-drained potting mix. Zones 8 to 11 outdoors year-round. Zones 4 to 7. Bring indoors below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep barely moist through dormancy, and be patient. It resprouts later than most plants. Care. Water regularly in summer. Feed monthly with balanced fertilizer during the growing season. Cut back hard before bringing indoors for winter. Resprout patience is the only real skill this plant requires. Harvest window. Harvest leaves throughout the growing season, fresh for teas, desserts, and cocktails, or dried for year-round use. One mature plant produces more lemon verbena than most households can consume in a season. Value angle. Specialty dried lemon verbena tea sells for $12 to $18 per tin. Fresh lemon verbena is almost impossible to find at retail. Your container plant gives you unlimited access to something genuinely rare, every single year. Hey, quick pause right here. If you're getting real ideas for your patio from this video, do me a favor and smash that like button. It genuinely helps this reach more people who want beautiful, low-effort container gardens that come back stronger every spring. Drop a comment below right now. Tell me which of these 11 perennials you're most excited to try. Are you going fragrant with the lavender or lemon verbena? Going edible with the thyme? Going bold with the echinacea? I want to know. I read every single comment. All right, top 6 still to come, and these are the ones that truly earn the lazy gardener title. Let's go. Number 6. Catmint Nepeta Walker's Low. Coming in at number 6, we have catmint. Catmint is the perennial that professional garden designers reach for when they want something that looks spectacular with essentially zero maintenance. It forms a soft, billowing mound covered in lavender blue flower spikes from late spring through summer. And then, if you cut it back by half after the first bloom flush, it rebounds within 3 weeks with a second wave that takes it all the way into fall. Here's the counterintuitive truth. Catmint performs better in containers when you treat it tough. Poor soil, lean conditions, occasional drought. Meanwhile, all of that concentrates the aromatic oils in the leaves and makes the plant more compact, more floriferous, and more resilient. Pamper it and it gets floppy. Challenge it lightly and it thrives. Planting basics. Container at least 10 to 12 inches wide. Full sun to light shade. Lean, well-drained potting mix. Don't overfeed. Zones 3 to 8. Walker's Low is the most reliable container variety. Compact, long-blooming, and unfazed by heat or cold. Care. Water when dry, drought-tolerant once established. Cut back by half after first bloom flush for a second wave. No fertilizer needed. Divide every 3 to 4 years to refresh and multiply your plants for free. Harvest window. Blooms May through September in most zones. Fresh leaves and flowers can be used for calming herbal tea. Pollinators treat it like a buffet all season long. Value angle. Ornamental perennials of this quality cost $12 to $18 at nurseries. Once. Your container catmint returns for 10 plus years, gets divided into multiple free plants, and requires less care than almost anything else on this list. Coming up, a dramatic, bold perennial that brings tropical flair to any container and overwinters beautifully with one simple trick. Number 5. Agapanthus, Lily of the Nile. Coming in at number 5, we have Agapanthus, also known as Lily of the Nile. This one earns its place through sheer visual drama. Agapanthus produces tall, elegant stems topped with globe-shaped clusters of trumpet flowers, brilliant blue, violet, or white. that rise above the foliage like fireworks in slow motion. On a patio, in a large pot, in full bloom? It's one of the most striking container displays in gardening. Here's the surprising fact. Agapanthus is actually one of the few perennials that genuinely prefers to be slightly pot-bound. It flowers most prolifically when the roots have filled the container, which means you repot it less often, not more. That's the lazy gardener's dream built right into the plant's biology. Planting basics. Large container, Patio. 14 to 18 inches wide, minimum for mature performance. Full sun, well-drained potting mix. Zones 8 to 11 outdoors year-round. In zones 5 to 7, bring containers into a frost-free space for winter. A garage or basement works perfectly. In zones 3 to 4, treat as an annual or overwinter indoors with bright light. Care. Water regularly in summer. Feed with balanced fertilizer monthly during the growing season. After blooming, let foliage die back naturally. Repot only every 3 to 4 years. Remember, it blooms better slightly cramped. Harvest window, blooms June through August. One mature container produces 10 to 20 flower stems per season. Cut spent stems for arrangements. They last beautifully in a vase. Value angle. Agapanthus cut flowers from florists sell for $4 to $8 per stem. Your container produces 10 to 20 stems per season, plus the living ornamental value of the plant itself, returning year after year. Almost at the top 4. Next, an ancient herb that was grown in monastery gardens for centuries and makes one of the most useful, multi-purpose container perennials on this list. Number 4. Common sage, Salvia officinalis. Coming in at number 4, we have common sage. Sage is the herb that gets better with age. Year 1, it's useful. Year 2, it's beautiful and useful. Year 3, it's a woody, silver-leafed, genuinely ornamental shrub that also happens to produce some of the most flavorful cooking herb in your entire garden. The purple flower spikes in late spring are stunning. The velvety silver-green leaves look beautiful year-round. And the flavor, rich, earthy, slightly peppery, is incomparably better fresh than anything from a dried jar. Here's the part no one tells you. The secret to keeping sage productive in a container long-term is one annual haircut in early spring. Cut it back by about 1/3 before new growth emerges. That's what keeps it from going woody and unproductive. One cut per year, 5 minutes of effort, keeps a container sage plant thriving for a decade. Planting basics. Container at least 10 to 12 inches wide. Full sun. Fast-draining, lean potting mix. Add perlite generously. Zones 5 to 8 outdoors year-round. In zones 3 to 4, bring indoors to a bright, cool window for winter. Berggarten and purpurascens are excellent ornamental culinary varieties for containers. Care. Water sparingly. Sage hates wet roots more than almost any herb. One light feeding of balanced fertilizer in spring. Annual pruning in early spring. That's genuinely the entire care routine. Harvest window. Harvest fresh leaves spring through fall. Regular cutting encourages bushier growth. One container plant provides more fresh sage than most families use in an entire year. Value angle. Fresh sage at $3 to $5 per small bunch weekly. Dried sage at $5 to $8 per jar. One container plant eliminates both expenses permanently and looks stunning doing it. 2 plants left, and they both deserve the top 2 spots for completely different reasons. One for its extraordinary practical value, one for the way it completely transforms a patio. Number 3. Chives. Coming in at number 3, we have chives. Here's the honest truth about chives in a container. They may be the single most effortless, most rewarding, most continuously useful perennial you can grow in a pot. You cut them. They grow back within days. You cut them again. They grow back again. All season, every season, for years, from the same clump, without replanting, and they give you 2 completely different products. First, the hollow green stems, mild and oniony, that you snip over eggs, soups, baked potatoes, and salads all season long. Then, in late spring, the most beautiful purple flower heads, fully edible, mildly oniony, gorgeous as a garnish, that also happen to be some of the most powerful pollinator magnets you can grow in a small space. Here's the surprising bonus. Chive flowers improve the productivity of every other edible container on your patio by attracting bees and beneficial insects. One pot of chives makes your whole container garden work better. Planting basics. Container at least 6 to 8 inches wide. Full sun to partial shade. Well-drained potting mix. Zones 3 to 9. Among the most cold-hardy herbs available. 1 clump per small container, or use as a filler in a larger mixed planting. Care. Water moderately. Cut the whole clump back to 2 inches a couple times per season to stimulate fresh, tender growth. Divide every 3 years. 1 clump becomes 4 or 5, all completely free. Harvest window, spring through hard frost. Cut and come again all season long. Edible flowers in late spring add a second harvest dimension. Value angle. Grocery store chives run $3 to $5 per bunch. Your container clump provides that on demand, continuously for years, and divides into multiple free plants that fill every pot you have. And now, number 1. The container perennial that surprised me most. The one that looks like it belongs in an ancient walled garden. The one that's been thriving in pots for centuries and delivers more per square inch than almost anything else on this list. Number 1. Rosemary. Coming in at number 1, the most beautiful, most useful, most deeply rewarding container perennial on this entire list. We have rosemary. Here's why rosemary earns the top spot, and it's not just because of the culinary value, though that alone is extraordinary. A mature rosemary plant in a container is one of the most spectacular things you can put on a patio. It grows into a full architectural woody shrub with silver-green needled foliage that looks elegant and structured in every season. In late winter and early spring, it covers itself in tiny blue flowers, sometimes so densely the whole plant looks blue, while everything else on your patio is still dormant. Bees arrive before any other pollinators of the season, drawn specifically to rosemary's early bloom. The fragrance is something else entirely. Warm, resinous, ancient. The smell of rosemary on a sunny afternoon is one of the most immediately evocative scents in the plant world. It smells like a Mediterranean hillside, like good food being prepared, like something old and important and real. And then there's the culinary value. Fresh rosemary is a completely different ingredient from dried. The oils are alive. The flavor is bright and piney and complex in a way that no dried version replicates. Roasted potatoes with fresh rosemary from your own pot. Lamb, focaccia, infused olive oil. Every time you cook with it, the difference is immediate and unmistakable. Here's what most people don't know. Rosemary gets better with age. Year 2 looks better than year 1. Year 5 is magnificent. A well-cared-for rosemary in a good container can live 15 to 20 years. The plant you put in a pot this spring could still be feeding you and perfuming your patio 2 decades from now. Planting basics. Terracotta or unglazed ceramic container. These breathe and dry out faster, which rosemary loves. At least 12 inches wide. Full sun all day. 8+ hours minimum. Fast-draining, gritty potting mix. Mix in 25 to 30% perlite or coarse sand. Zones 7 to 11 outdoors year-round. In zones 4 to 6, bring containers indoors to a bright, cool window before hard frost. Arp and Athens Blue Spire are the most cold-hardy varieties. Surviving brief dips to zone 6 and lower in sheltered conditions. Care. Water only when the soil is completely dry. This is the single most important rule with rosemary. It will survive drought far better than overwatering. Trim lightly after the spring flowering to keep its shape. Feed once in early spring with a light, balanced fertilizer. That's genuinely the entire care routine for a plant that gives back all year, every year, indefinitely. Harvest window, year-round in mild climates. You're snipping fresh rosemary in January. Wary, April, July, and October from the same plant. In colder zones, harvest actively through the outdoor season and use fresh or dried through winter. Regular harvesting, taking stems frequently rather than sparingly, at ZAS actually encourages bushier, more productive growth. Value angle. Fresh rosemary at grocery stores costs $3 to $5 per small bunch week after week. 1 container rosemary plant eliminates that cost permanently. But more than the money, a mature rosemary on your patio is a living presence that grows more beautiful every year, fills your outdoor space with fragrance every time the wind moves through it, and gives you the finest fresh herb in the garden on demand for the rest of your gardening life. That's why it's number 1, not just for what it does, for what it becomes. Bonus tip: the pot hack that saves container perennials. Every winter. Here's the pot hack I promised, and this one will genuinely change how your container perennials survive cold winters, especially in zones 4 to 6 where the freeze-thaw cycle is the real killer. The problem most container gardeners don't know about is this: it's not the cold that kills container perennials in winter. It's the repeated freezing and thawing of the potting mix, expanding and contracting around the roots, that destroys the root system over multiple freeze-thaw cycles. A single hard freeze often does less damage than 10 mild ones. Here's the hack. Before your first hard frost, cluster all your container perennials together, touching, close packed, against the most sheltered wall of your house, ideally a south or west-facing wall. Then wrap the entire cluster loosely in burlap or old blankets, tucking the fabric around the sides and over the top. Finally, stuff the spaces between the pots with dry leaves, straw, or crumpled newspaper. What you've created is a microclimate. The thermal mass of the clustered pots, the insulation of the wrapping, and the dead air space between pots maintains a more stable temperature inside the cluster than outside. The freeze-thaw cycling that kills exposed containers is dramatically reduced. The roots stay cold but consistently cold, which is what they need. The science: roots of most perennials survive sustained cold far better than repeated temperature swings. It's the inconsistency, warming up, freezing again, warming up, freezing again, that causes cellular damage and root death. Stable cold is survivable. Volatile temperature fluctuation is what kills. This 5-minute setup in October has saved container perennials for me in Zone 5 winters that killed everything else on the patio. The plants inside the cluster come through with minimal root damage and wake up in spring with noticeably stronger growth than isolated containers that faced winter unprotected. Try it this fall. The difference in spring survival rates will make you a believer. So there you have it. 11 perennials that are absolutely perfect for containers, coming back stronger every spring, delivering beauty, fragrance, food, and medicine from the same pots year after year, with a minimum of effort and a maximum of reward. From the trailing golden charm of Creeping Jenny to the bold drama of Agapanthus, to the ancient, magnificent, irreplaceable rosemary that earns every bit of its #1 spot. These are the plants that make a container garden feel permanent, intentional, and deeply alive. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 11 are you adding to your patio this season? The fragrant lavender? The endlessly useful chives? Or are you going straight for a beautiful rosemary that you'll still be harvesting from in 15 years? Drop it in the comments right now. I genuinely want to see what you're planting. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the moment. Hit that button, tap the bell, and join a community of gardeners who are building something beautiful and lasting. One container, one perennial, one season at a time. Thank you so much for watching today. It truly means everything. Now get out there and grow something amazing. I'll see you in the next one. Tone: warm, inspiring, low pressure, community driven.